where do our emotions come from? So this is a quick video about like projection. When we are 100% responsible for our emotions and our words and our behavior. So when we make mistakes, we can say sorry to ourselves or to other people. We can accept responsibility. We won't say, I did that because of you, like you made me do this, or you made me say this, or you acted bad, so then I snapped at you or attacked you verbally or physically. We don't want to say like I'm like a puppet or a muppet and we can own up to losing control, sure, but we have to take responsibility for like we're the ones who lost control. But even when we don't lose control, if we react unconsciously, we have to own up to that. We can own up to that. We have the invitation to own up to that, okay? So that's really important what I just said, like super important. We are accountable and responsible for our actions, words and behaviors, okay? As well as our inactions, our non-words that we could have spoken but didn't because we didn't know better or we weren't aware of it at that time. And yeah, everything, okay? So the opposite, the unconscious thing and the disempowered thing is to blame others for our emotions, okay? That's just called victimhood, and sometimes when we're rooted in victimhood, which is a lower frequency, which we can let go of, because any lower frequency holds us back and holds us down from becoming our higher self and more of who we truly are in the physical life before we die. Because when we die, we're going to suddenly drop everything that is holding us back and holding us down. But we can do this and become our higher self in physical form while we're still alive. Okay, so that's the path that I'm on. I'm not some people, and maybe I was to a certain small, tiny degree in the past. So many of us are on the path of escapism, trying to escape. We want to escape our emotions. We want to escape the story we're telling of the world. My story of the world is beautiful, majestic and gorgeous, and there's such crazy potential and wondrous, beautiful stuff that I definitely want to stick around and be alive for. Like the timeline that I'm going forward into is like all the things that I want to coming true for the world and me on a personal level too, career, work level, family level, health level, friends, family, just like wonderful things. So getting back, so when we tell a story of victimhood, then that means we keep talking, we have a real strong solid idea, you know, of something like they did this, they did that, like I'm just a victim, they perpetrated, they were really bad. And this is okay sometimes for a temporary purpose if we're talking to like people who don't just gang up on the person you're talking about, but people who actually listen, hold space for you and like care for both people. They're not trying to join forces to destroy anyone. No one's made into an enemy or like, you know, a disgusting person, nothing like that. So that's the difference between talking to people who are healers or conscious friends or conscious family and unconscious friends, family, or etc. So there's no ganging up on. There's more like a sense of I care for you, like, you know, I hope things work out. Like there's a sense of healthy unloading, like healthy sharing. But especially when you're more like a consciously type of person where you know you're responsible for your emotions as well. You're not just saying I'm the big massive victim, they did this, look, I'm now wrecked and ruined and how dare they, and the hell with them. So a different story is I'm responsible for my emotions. We both partook in a situation. It could be dating, it could be somebody leaves you, dumps you, rejects you, it could be an argument, it could be divorce, it could be breakup, it could be whatever the case would be, you know. It could be your neighbour was unfriendly to you, somebody was really loud. There's all sorts of stuff where you don't like something that's happened, okay? So everyone who triggers a strong emotion in you is called a messenger to end your mess, a mess ender. Okay, I've talked about this so many times in the past. So really every challenge is an opportunity for growth and healing and ultimately becoming a higher self in physical form. So everyone is a good messenger. Okay, we don't want to keep repeating the lessons though, because we want to learn the lesson and the same lesson won't repeat. So if we learn the lesson of, let's say, an abusive relationship, we'll just leave, or we will transform and they will transform if we're both in a semi-conscious to a conscious relationship. If we're not in a conscious relationship and we're with someone who some people call like an abuser, what we do is we leave if we learn the lesson. But we're not all blessed with the same lessons at the same divine timing in life. So sometimes lessons go on for longer and that's okay. But if we learn about this type of video during the lesson, which many people haven't in the past and they stuck around for decades or in an abusive relationship, if you happen to be blessed on your soul path to wake up at the divine timing where you're used to watching a video like this, then you'll get help, you'll get healing, and you may get space and step out of the relationship potentially if they're not able or willing to change. Okay, so at the same time that we are still responsible for our emotions, okay, the more we can step into that, the better. And we can create our life consciously and purposefully and very, very, very positively when we're empowered without creating a big dramatic story or feeling of victimhood, okay? Now, we can be victimized, but we don't want to like hold on to that story. Like, we can be perpetrated against, but we don't want to hold on to that story. We want to like learn the lessons, work on our heart, work on letting go of what holds us down and holds us back, work on stuff like compassion, love and kindness, unconditional love, but also learn the lesson of not being like kind of an abusee or a walkover for extended amounts of times, because we all make mistakes, we all have little slip-ups, we all have little falls, but we don't want that to last like for years, you know, where one, either us or another person, is being abusive and extremely disregarding. You know, we want everyone to learn, and we want to be on everybody's side. So it's always important to get support and help from either conscious people, conscious friends, conscious family, conscious healer, etc, 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 etc. I do that, by the way. If anyone's interested, just like message me. I have awesome books coming out too, and video courses. So yeah, I'm going to end this video because I better go, but the last thing I basically want to say is it's only when we step out into our uncomfortable zone that the really good growth and really good experiences that we learn from happen. So if we don't expect to be always feeling comfortable in your bubble of comfortability, that's not how life works. It's not why we've come here to live. So as we may like grow and gain knowledge and wisdom and love more, and we may be comfortable for a while, and this was happening in my life, but then something will pop up where it challenges you, it brings you forward, it teaches you a lot, it triggers you for some healing from the past, like emotional detox. Physical detox and emotional detox aren't fun, but emotional detox is less fun and more hard, in my opinion, for sure. It's like past wounds are being triggered, and that's where we have to step in and go within instead of blaming, and go and take responsibility and learn and see what our greatest traumas and triggers are, and take ownership and respond differently than the way we used to in the past. Step out from reacting from a more reactive, unconscious state of potential fight or flight or fight, and step into a more heart-centered, responsive, responding, careful way from our hearts, which causes the least damage and promotes the most healing for everybody, including the family if there's children involved, or even just the two people if it's just an ordinary partnership. So yeah, I've experienced all of this, know exactly what I'm talking about, and deep lessons and challenges. So yeah, welcome or be okay with uncomfortableness without creating a big story of like how it was terrible. You know, some things can be really arduous or even terrible to a certain degree, for sure. I'm not trying to say bypass your emotions, but just don't stick to a really negative story. Like, see the seed of opportunity and light in every experience, and practice forgiveness, unconditional love and gratitude and appreciation. And when you practice compassion and kindness, unconditional kindness and compassion, that's when you've let go of a lot of, and forgiveness, that's when like you're not really fussed about creating a deep, big negative ego story in your head. You're not holding on to anything heavy. It's more like had an experience, they had an experience, have love and compassion for all, have deepest compassion, even extending gratitude, forgiveness, unconditional love and care, appreciation for the positives. You take the best and the biggest positives out of the situation and of the people, and you don't hold on to things like the heaviness of grudgery and resentment. You let all that go. You let go of non-forgiveness. When you let go, you feel bright and light, and then you bring in appreciation and you're rocking it. You know, that's the way I've been in my life, but it takes a little bit of time to practice. So yeah, for anyone who's going through a breakup, a rejection, an abandonment, going through maybe anger or even violence, going through physical or verbal even abuse to a certain degree, or even just like sort of like any issue really whatsoever in the entire world, this video can apply to you, including a health loss, certain physical loss, a monetarily loss, even a certain maybe personal loss to a certain degree. That's a deep one, and this video isn't aimed at like physical, like, you know, personal loss. That I really want to hone in specifically on that. And yeah, so yeah, everyone, yeah, I hope this video helps you like so much. It's been the first live video I've made in a long time. I hope this helps from the bottom of my heart, from the top of my spirit. You know, there's so much to learn. Wish you a beautiful day. Keep thinking of the best about people, and I'll talk to you again in another video. Lots of love. So if anyone lots of love, and I'll talk to you again another time. If you like any herbs or coaching or books, check out my thing, befriend me on Facebook. Yeah, all my links are below. If you have any questions or comments, leave them down below. You keep rocking it. You're awesome in your life. You're wonderful, and you're worthy and beautiful, and so are we all. So yeah, this is live video 2 of the day. And the last video was just about stuff like rejection, abandonment, breakup of relationships, loss, and being rejected or abandoned by a person, or just experiencing various trauma or abuse in your life and how to deal with it. And it's about processing emotions, and this video is a continuation of that, about processing emotions and also learning from your life's experiences and moving forward instead of like going backwards, but moving forward and becoming a higher self in the physical world before we pass on. Which is okay, so I'm not going to repeat what I said in that video, but I realized I would like to add on extra in that video, and that is that for the first basically 20 years of my life, I experienced a lot. I felt very, very insecure. I experienced a lot of anxiety, and I suffered from anxiety. I suffered from feeling very alone, very insecure, very vulnerable, tender and raw emotionally. Very nothing like you see today whatsoever. I was like a scarred, wounded little child who didn't have a voice. And as a result, I clung on and to female figures, or like I tried to jump into romantic relationships really soon and too early before I even got to know the person, you know. And I didn't know it then, but I eventually learned about this pattern in my life a good few years ago, you know. And I realized this is just an unhealed part of me that's acting out unconsciously. And I'm looking for somebody to basically fulfill the role that my mom did, which was a protector or a female energy, like to make me feel less insecure or alone or vulnerable, or even like, you know, a certain degree of anxiety. Or I had a lot of fear in my life growing up as well, you know. So we do this in relationships where we cling, we attach. It's premature, or it's too soon, or it's too strong. Hi Mabel, love you, love seeing you. You're always incredible, such a noteworthy, delectable, incredible friend and supporter of mine. So thank you so much. I'd love to talk with you someday. Maybe we'll do a live chat, because I clicked the invite button, but I won't do it right now. But yeah, I used to jump into relationships too early and cling and attach, and like this happens sometimes before we get rejected or abandoned. So like, yeah, I felt obviously definite emotional rejection and abandonment, and even physical rejection or abandonment when I was young also, like especially when I was growing up, like in terms of relationships. So I've been through all of that. So my point being is, look within yourself if you're attaching or clinging, attaching emotionally to people who you're just dating, or you don't even know, or you haven't even met them on the internet, and look to see that the wounds or the traumas and the emotions that they bring up in you. Use people and like circumstances and events, any life experience, as a positive bonus. And like, yeah, I won't repeat what I said in the last video, because I'm actually going to put it on one video on YouTube anyway. So that's what I want to say. If you're insecure or attaching prematurely, look at this pattern in yourself and look at the way you think or hope someone else is going to fix you. No one can fix you. No one can cure you. No one can be your savior. You can't fix, cure, or save anyone else either. We can only lovingly, unconditional kindness, unconditional love, non-attached giving and kindness, non-attached caring. We can only do this for one another, to help hold each other's hand, to bring ourselves home, basically speaking to help us self-realize that we are source energy beings of divine, unconditional kindness and love and joy. But healing has to happen first to realize and to live this, okay? So, hi Mabel, yeah, I couldn't see you, but I saw your name come up. She didn't know that I could see her. So the second thing I want to say in this video, no one can like sort of fulfill you, or like, you know, no one can be everything for you. Like sometimes, like, and this pertains to me too in the past especially also, but not as much, but the more we fill ourselves up with like happiness, joy, and we meet our needs for social needs of friends, our needs to connect with family, potentially, for sure, that's usually a need, our need to be of some kind of service or positive influence in the world, be it locally or globally, our need to be valuable, our need to contribute, our need for spiritual growth, which is what I'm talking about in these videos. Yeah, the more we fulfill our needs to be happy, to get out of nature, to move our bodies, to progress, to grow, these are all needs. our needs to, like I said, meet friends, our need to be creative. It could be knitting, our need for hobbies and interests, to intellectually to learn, to make stuff, to be productive of some kind. The less we meet our needs and wishes in life, things we find fun, happy, interesting, exciting, the more we're going to cling to someone to save us and be everything for us. And of course, that's a recipe for disaster. That's never going to work. But the more we fulfill our cup up ourselves, we won't be dependent on and attaching, like, unconsciously or unhealthily for another person who we're dating or even in a relationship with. If they leave or reject us or abandon us, that's even not, they don't even determine our worthiness or our deservingness. Other people's behaviour doesn't determine who we are as a divine love light joy being, or our level of worthiness. It's completely independent. Other people's behaviour is a total 100% reflection of where they are in their spiritual development, their consciousness, their frequency, their vibration, and where they're at in life in terms of everything, mental, emotional, physical. It's them, it's not us. So that can't be used as a spiritual excuse to just be mean and abusive and bad and say, oh, I didn't do anything. Like, we don't mean it that way, okay? I don't mean it that way. What I said makes sense, but that's like the shadow twisting, manipulative type of way of using that. So anyone watching this probably won't be going in that line anyway. But don't let someone like you could call them a narcissist be narcissistically behavior in manipulating you to try and, like, keep you in a bad situation for long, which I covered in the first half of this video anyway. Get help when you need it. So yeah, that's the last thing I want to say. Fill yourself up and you won't be depending and attaching unhealthily to somebody else. It's really the best thing is when you're in a relationship when both people are filling themselves up and making their life complete by themselves, and two people come together to complement and add on to each other. It's a bonus. It's not a need, it's a bonus. So we don't want to need a romantic relationship right now. We want to have one as a bonus. Now, when we get into relationships from an unhealed space, we can predict a certain degree of mayhem or disturbance and hiccups and fighting or argument or emotional triggers. That it's going to happen. We're going to get triggered. That's like a splinter being plucked out of us. It's like really sore in terms of emotional detoxification, but even physical detoxification, literally getting a splinter out is big. It can be really sore. It could be an infection possibly, or a swelling, or even just like physically fasting or going on cleanses. That can be uncomfortable, but the emotional uncomfortable level of emotional rising and detoxing is, for me, is much harder and worse. So these videos and spiritual awareness and wisdom is the name of the game. It's invaluable. It's needed. You need unconditional love and kindness, like people, like in this video also, like people like that ability, and to help you, to support you, to be kind, to be loving, to listen. So that's all I really want to say. So the more you practice self-love and grow from every experience and develop wisdom, the more you grow and raise your frequency and consciousness, all of this stuff eventually, like the way I'm at now, it won't be that much of it won't be the biggest deal. No one likes a breakup, especially if you're like attached for many years or you have children and you want a family. But I'm just saying, it's 100 times worse if you're in an unhealthy space within yourself, or you have a lot of lessons. That's okay. We all have lessons. Anything can be the lesson. But if you happen to learn this lesson in many ways, which is tons of lessons in this video anyway, tons, especially the first video combined, which I'm talking about, it can be made like so much smoother, softer, easier and harmonious. But it's all about levels. Wisdom is all about levels. Relationships is all about levels. Consciousness is all about levels. It's all about levels. And there's always more levels and a deeper, more wise perspective as well, and a more unconditionally loving and unconditionally kind level as well. So yep, I've been through the mill. I've had like tons of lessons and hardship in my life. Even recently I had a really tough one for a while. But it only deepened. It put everything I know to the practice and more. And it deepened my unconditional kindness and unconditional love. And it helped resolve and bring up some of my traumas from the past too. And I looked at it and I was able to understand them and let some of those feelings go and let go and not have to react from that space of unhealed, unconscious reactivity anymore. Respond from my heart, much more of unconditional love and unconditional kindness and forgiveness, and letting go of anything like resentment or blame or anger as well towards somebody, which is phenomenal. It's such a good lesson. So I am becoming my higher self in the flesh, and we will when we die, but we can do before we die, like I said in the first video. So it's better to become your higher self in the flesh, in the physical form. And that's all I want to say. So, yep. Talk to you soon. Namaste. Lots of love. Thanks for watching. You're beautiful divine beings. So go and have some fun and like heal and feel your emotions in life. So yeah, finally, like, what should we do if we're going through, like, let's say, a rejection or breakup of a relationship on top of everything I've just said? Well, instead of obsessing or like fixating over another person, what we can do is we can practice stop thinking about them like too much, you know, which is from an unhealthy perspective, you know. Obviously think about them in terms of forgiveness, compassion, understanding, accepting that this is where they were, and that, you know, people do their best and they can't give more than they can give at any particular time, etc. But in terms of like just like infatuating, living in fairyland, like holding on to like unrealistic hopes, dreams and aspirations, etc., letting go of all that sort of stuff. But in terms of positive, like, we can start focusing on, like, we can put our energy in we're wonderful, like, we're phenomenal, like, you're watching now, you're fantastic, like, you're a beautiful soul, amazing person, so much to offer. You never needed this one person anyway. We don't need to be in a relationship right now. What we need to do is fill our cup up, like I said previously. So what we can do is we can redirect our thoughts and our focus and our attention to other people in our life, to other fulfilling, healthy relationships, to a project, to learning, to a family member or our parents or our children. They're all like super beautiful. Also, we can, when we let go and we heal and we fill our cup up, then we're in a healthier space to be ready for another relationship at the right time, as long as we learn the lessons and we work in our own healing. So we can focus and be positive in terms of where we put our attention away from this thing that didn't work out, or it did work out, but it just didn't work out the way we were hoping. It worked out good though. And we can change and put our attention, time, focus and energy and think thoughts on somebody else or something else. That's what I'd recommend, and that's very good. Like when I went through breakups in the past, or losses or turmoil and sadness and distress, etc., everything like that, all that you may be going through potentially. And do share this with somebody who you think it could help, my friends. Please do. Like, this isn't just about like practical coping or practical skills. It's about raising our frequency and consciousness and developing as a spirit in human form too. This is about awakening and about like even raising and elevating ourselves in life and our frequency and consciousness. Okay, so that means everything is the best thing you can do in life. You can't get better than raising our consciousness and frequency, and all of these are just steps along the way as we keep progressing in what I just said there. Okay, so it's monumental and beautiful and powerful. So yeah, we don't need to keep holding on. We want to let go of what's heavy and holds us back and holds us down. And then we can start like thinking beautiful, celebrating, having a great time with our friends or family members, or being out in nature. That's what I used to do. I used to go out in nature. I had a nice little bond with my mum, a connection. My friends, if I can meet them more often. I go out in nature walks from from Bray to Greystones. I go to a lovely place, like a place called the Happy Pear, which for me, what I liked was a lovely like sort of vegetarian and vegan place, with nice desserts, like hot chocolates, like, salads, raw chocolate cakes, or even cooked chocolate cakes, and, nice carrot cake. And it's just a nice space. There's birds there, collect the hippies or the alternative people of the community, and just general community too. And that's all good, One love, one family, welcomeness, inviting, inclusivity, being a part of the current community, while not trying to separate or segregate from others who aren't the same as me, adopting each other like into our hearts, so to speak, allowing and accepting each other and embracing differences. And you don't have to all this sort of stuff. It's like good. It's all good. Love the nature walk, see the sea, spend a few hours walking there, maybe an hour walking there and an hour walking back to a nearby town along the coastal nature walk, where I could have a beautiful vista of the sea, the gorgeous ocean, grandmother ocean. So yeah, do the things that you love and be happy, and it's all good. You'll look back in time and it won't sting or hurt as much. In fact, you may appreciate the experience and the loss. So don't worry. Lots of love. So good. Life's so crazy, but good. It's all good. Challenges come, losses come. We have soul contracts with some people for big lessons too. Don't worry. It's not by accident. Things are meant to be in so many levels, especially big things, big events in our life. So when I made peace with that and my big losses and my big suffering, I also lost all my money of 100,000 euros as well, and went into some debt. It's all meant to be. It's okay, I don't mind anymore. None of that stings. Even all my relationship losses doesn't sting anymore. Even where I felt like treated terribly or badly and very unjustly or victimized, it doesn't hurt me anymore. Either far in the past or even recently. I've done so much inner work, and you can reach this place where you just keep elevating, and it's real, it's grounded. It's not just like airy fairy fluff talk. Like, I have a business, I have business plans, like, you know, my working on my calling, my passion, my purpose with my books and video series as well. My masterclass, so to speak, whatever you want to call it, my videos stuff. And I have a herb store, Higher Self Herbs. I have children. It's just, yeah, I'm not just a single guy as in my 20s, which I was different back then. I'm like 39 now, you know. What I say is true is what I'm saying, and like, you know, I hope this helps you a lot. Like, there's so much to take away, so much in this video. You got like a few decades worth of work in this video, because it can take a few decades to learn this type of thing, potentially like 1 or 2, you know. Depends on your path. It could be sooner too. Have fun, my friends. Lots of love. Yay! I'm off to collect some spring water now. I'm going to fill up my big jug. Yes, I am. I'm going to fill my big jug with some spring water. Lovely spring. There we go.